To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So I'm back at the tiny house build again today, and we're progressing quite nicely. As you know, I've gotten just in the last week or two, maybe 3, I don't know, we've gotten all the walls up on our little tiny house. We got the windows, all 3 windows installed. We got this window in, so we got the door in, which was an extremely heavy door, and had to lift that up there by myself, but it went pretty well. And I guess one of the things that is kind of showing through in my videos is I'm doing this by myself. Carolyn has helped with a couple things, but for the majority of the project, I've done it all by myself. Carolyn's got a bad back, so it's better if she doesn't start lifting a lot of heavy stuff. So right now, as you know, we have been working on our trusses. There's trusses and rafters, and I guess these are called trusses. It doesn't matter to me. It's the thing that creates the roof. This one's hanging upside down right now, and all you have to do is swing it upwards. I've gotten 2 full ones done. I got this one done, which is going to be the outside rafter. It's going to go over the door. I have a half of one done, but it's in pieces. And the reason it's in pieces is because it's my guide. It's my master cut. So that way every angle is exactly the same. Because what happens over time is if you cut a board and then use the next board and the next board and the next board, eventually you'll be so far off because every cut's a little different. Just a little twist here or there with the saw and it's completely different. But if you do it this way, even though you're not cutting exactly the same as this one, it still holds pretty close. I am just a tick off from one side to the other, I noticed yesterday. About a 1/4 inch off. This side is a 1/4 inch shorter than this side. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I'm glad I caught it before I started putting them up, because now I can put all the shorter side on one side of the wall and all the longer side on the other side of the wall, and then it'll be pretty uniform all the way across. Otherwise, your ply would have been hanging over just a 1/4 inch here and there, and it would just, I think, cause a lot of difficulties. Now, what I did was I set up a jig on the floor of the tiny house. To demonstrate what the jigs do is it holds the boards in place. So you see I have screws attached to the floor, and I don't know if you can see it, but I've actually drawn pencil lines on the floor. And so what I do is I put this board on first, because that's the angle board, and then this board goes on second. But what happens is see, they all fit right in between the screws. If it doesn't fit in the screw, then I know the board is cut wrong. So I can make adjustments. So far, the only board I really struggle with is these 2 braces right here. And I'll show you what they look like. They're just smaller boards, and I have a hard time cutting them. But see, that's the kind of crazy angles that I'm having to cut. And so far, every board that I've cut wrong, I've cut too long. So that means I just got to trim a little bit off. So today's big project is I got to get this guy up there and flip it up. So a couple things I'm going to do, and I may not be able to explain it very well, but if you hang on into the video, I will show you what I'm doing. One of the things I'm going to do is I got to get on the ladder, and I'm going to put screw a board right here. Of course, one on the other side too. And that board's going to extend all the way up past the edge of the wall. So when I swing this, the one that's on the floor right now, but I'm demonstrating. So when I swing this up, it'll land up against that 2x4, and it will be straight up and down because this wall is straight up and down. So the board will hold it straight up and down as I can start assembling things. The other thing I'm going to do is, since I don't have a top plate or top crown or whatever you want to call, see, most time by code and every requirement you can think of, there's supposed to be a board on top of this board. Well, I didn't do it. And I'm not going to do it. I mean, I could, but I'm not. The boards are just too expensive. There's no reason to do it because I don't feel like I need it. I don't think it's a safety issue. But I did buy these. These are only 98 cents a piece. These are gusset plates, which I also have to use on this truss and the one on the very end on the other side. Because, you know, you got to put your OSB on it. So you may be able to see that gusset plate right there is kind of sticking out. So you have to use them on the trusses, just on the ends. Well, I'm going to do that here too. I'm going to put a gusset plate right up there to tie that corner together. Now what a gusset plate looks like is it has little spikes coming out of it. You can buy some that just have holes in it and you put nails in the holes. These have spikes in them and you just hammer it down right into the wood. So I'm going to put gusset plates on each corner here. And then I'm going to put this up. And if there's time, I'll go ahead and do the second one also. Now this one I got to swap around because I got the longer end on the wrong side. I got to put the longer end on this side just because that's what this one is. So they all got to match. So I got to get the tarp off, and I don't think there's any rain in the forecast for the next, well, I didn't see it in the 10-day. Okay, so what you saw me hammering in up there was these gusset plates. Not that hard, just have to hammer them in. All right, so you can see that I've got it raised up, the first truss. Man, that looks really good. You can see the two 2x4s coming up there. So I did that for bracing. So I could lean it up against it, screw into it, and I'll leave it there until I get, four pieces of plywood on the roof. Then I think it should be stable. I might just leave one up there. I mean, it doesn't matter. The next step is to get that other rafter in there. And what I'm gonna do is this time, instead of running a 2x4 strip down, I'm gonna run it horizontally off this rafter. And that way, when I lift it up, I can screw straight down into the next rafter. Now, I didn't show you which kind of fasteners I use, and I don't think I'm going to, simply because there's so many different ways of doing it. So I got the second rafter in. It was a little bit of a challenge, but once I figured out what I wanted to do and how to do it, it went up pretty smooth. Here, the sun may be in the way. Okay, so there I've put a board, right? That board is temporary, and what that does is hold it from wiggling back and forth. I used a strap to kind of pull it together so I could do it by myself. You know, normally you got a crew and they got a level and they're holding a level. Well, I just ratcheted that until the rafter became level. Then I was able to screw it into that 2x4 right there. I tell you, as many angles and cuts and measurements, squareness and everything, I am absolutely amazed, astonished that I got two of them to come out exactly the same, and when you measure them, they overhang exactly the same amount. Everything has worked out perfectly. So my little jig here is working out very well. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep doing this. I'll build one, hang one, build one, hang one. If I make a mistake, it's just one, not all of them. So I hope I can encourage you to create something today, because man, it feels good. Thanks for watching.